Yeah, it's so great. And as you're describing that in such a compelling way, there's two thoughts that come to mind in our own experience as we try to do this within organizations. And one is, you have that sense of community, and this is what we hear from the leaders we work with, when they have a sense that my colleagues have my back, right? And the second you're part of a community where everyone has each other's backs, like everyone just kind of relaxes a little.
Yeah.
The other dynamic we've seen when we're trying to kind of nudge a group into becoming a community, it usually starts with one person who kind of, says, I got a problem. Is it okay if I ask a question to get some perspectives? And we've witnessed this so many times. The second someone has the courage to do that, and then they all come around that person and help them with giving them ideas and brainstorming options and whatnot. And then someone else comes, well, if we got some time, I'm struggling with this. Yeah. And that is sort of where I've seen that magic that you described play out. I don't know if this resonates with your own experience.
Absolutely. Well, and it's one of the reasons why, organizations that have really helped people with leadership and change, and this, which is you start with confidentiality. So you can actually create this very quickly if people believe that this is confidential. I don't know why I just needed to say confidentiality in that way. Nothing, never, no one. And when you start, first of all, it's so different, because think about how everybody, again, if you are trying to mine your life and mine your interactions for content, it's a very different way of approaching the world, as opposed to saying, I'm going to be present, and this is about connection, and this is about how are we showing up for each other. And so you can create those conditions very quickly when you make agreements around confidentiality, when you make agreements that we're not here to impress each other with how many things we've done or credentials we have. One of my favorites too is in this new world of personal branding, how everyone talks about authenticity, but they talk about it in a very arm's length way. Like, we're going to be very vulnerable right now, as opposed to just being vulnerable and sharing a story where something's not going well, or, we're struggling with it. The other thing that I've observed, and I don't know if this is true for you in your work as well, is advice will shut down conversations and stories expand them. So when you are in one of these moments where you are either creating the context for people making connections with each other, not only is confidentiality so powerful, but also we don't give advice. We're making the agreement that this is not advice. This is about how are we able to share our stories, our experiences, and our ideas. And what I have found is that expands the conversation. Whereas the problem with advice is that, well, okay, am I taking your advice? Am I not taking your advice? And if I don't take your advice, now we've got a problem. Yeah. Versus, hey, Vince, I went through something really similar recently. I don't know if it's exactly like what you're struggling with, but I'll share what I did, which was, went and talked to 5 of my friends and vented about this person. And then I figured out a way of navigating it. And what I learned for myself was X, Y, or Z. And I share that, with love and with support. And you can just take that for
yeah.
I always like to add what you paid for it, which is typically nothing.